Many people shout at their televisions, wear team colors, and feel completely crushed when their favorite team loses. But there's also a huge number of people who simply don't care. According to Neuroscience, that difference may come from how the brain works. What I'm about to share may completely change how you see the sports-obsessed people around you. Here's something rarely talked about. Not caring about sports does not make you boring. It doesn't mean you lack passion, and it definitely doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It simply means something different is happening in your brain compared to most Americans who closely follow sports. So let's start with the basic question. Why do so many people care so deeply? Humans are naturally group-oriented. For most of history, belonging to a group meant survival. Your group protected you, helped you hunt, and kept you safe. Sports are basically modern groups, just with better branding. When people watch their favorite team, their brain releases oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding chemical, the same one that helps create strong family connections. It's surprising, but true. The brain actually starts to treat these wealthy athletes like members of the same group. Now here's where it gets interesting. People who don't obsess over sports often have what psychologists call weaker group instincts. Their identity is not strongly tied to belonging to a group. They tend to be more independent. They're more likely to think, I don't need to belong to something bigger to feel complete. And research supports this. A 2019 study found that people with low interest in sports showed much less us versus them thinking. In simple terms, they don't automatically dislike the other side just because it's different. But there's more. What happens inside the brain of a sports fan during a game is powerful. You know that feeling right before opening a gift? That excitement? That's dopamine being released. Sports fans experience that same feeling during games. Every play, every moment of uncertainty, small, repeated bursts of anticipation and reward. Brain imaging studies show that watching your team can activate the same reward areas as gambling and other highly engaging activities. And here's the key reason. Uncertainty. You don't know if your team will win or lose. That unpredictability keeps dopamine flowing. Psychologists call this variable reinforcement. It's one of the strongest reward patterns the brain responds to. The brain doesn't care where dopamine comes from. It just wants more. People who don't care about sports don't get this response from watching competition. Their dopamine systems simply aren't triggered the same way. And genetics may play a role. Research from the University of Chicago suggests that differences in dopamine-related genes can influence how much someone enjoys watching competitive activities. In other words, your complete indifference to game results might actually be partly biological. There's another layer too. Sports fans experience something called basking in reflected glory. When their team wins, they say, we won. When the team loses, they lost. Notice the shift. People who don't obsess over sports are less likely to do this. Their sense of self is more stable. They don't rely on external wins to feel successful. Their confidence depends less on things they can't control. This doesn't mean one group is better than the other. It simply means there are real psychological differences. Here's something that may sound surprising. Sports fans often score higher on certain empathy measures. They practice caring deeply about players and teams. So why don't non-sports people feel the same empathy? It comes down to empathy allocation. Everyone has limited emotional energy. People who don't care about sports often direct that energy elsewhere. Personal relationships, social causes, creative work, ideas, and learning. A 2021 study found that people with low sports interest scored higher in openness to experience and appreciation for art and beauty. They still seek meaning, connection, and emotional highs. They just find them in different places. For some people, indifference to sports is also protective. Maybe they were bullied in gym class. Maybe they felt excluded by sports culture. Maybe they dislike the aggression often tied to fandom. Or maybe they simply never understood why adults yell at screens over a game. Your indifference might have a backstory, or it might not. Both are valid. This difference also explains why sports fans and non-sports fans sometimes struggle to understand each other. It comes down to meaning. Sports fans find meaning in stories. Underdogs, comebacks, rivalries. Non-sports people often see that randomness as meaningless. They think, why invest emotionally in something I can't control, involving people I don't know, that doesn't affect my real life? Neither side is wrong. They're just meeting the human need for meaning in different ways. One group finds it in championships. The other finds it in books, relationships, creativity, or discovery. Psychologists describe this as parasocial investment versus direct engagement. Sports fans build one-sided emotional connections. Non-sports people prefer investing where their effort actually matters. Researcher Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who studied peak experience, found that flow states can come from many activities. For some people, it's sports. For others, it's something completely different. Interestingly, people who don't obsess over sports often report feeling more present in their own lives. They spend less time watching someone else's struggle and more time living their own. So if you don't care about sports, you're not missing anything essential. Your brain is simply calibrated differently. Your reward system, your group instincts, your empathy focus. And that's okay. The next time someone asks, "Did you watch the game?" and you truly couldn't care less, remember this. You're not broken. You're not boring. You're just playing a different game. One that might actually matter more to you.